Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where today we are going to be building this blue suburban house which has this floor plan. And the challenge for this Floorplan Friday episode is to build this exact floor plan, this exact house. So as you can see, it's got quite a few bedrooms, couple of bathrooms, lots and lots of space. So we are looking to recreate that. And I don't know about you, but I've not always been a big builder in The Sims, so floor plans seem to be a good way of me getting started. Now, blue Suburbans do seem to be fairly popular in this game, so I thought that was a good place to start. And the way that I got this floor plan in the first place is from a Discord channel that I'm on with a whole load of other lovely people, which is called the Forest Discord, and that is run by Absurd Koala, who is very lovely, and the whole gang there are very welcoming, so it's lovely. So one of the channels there is Floorplan Friday, and the challenge is to build exactly what's in the pictures. So that's what I've been trying to do, and this was the one that I picked. So the challenge itself is set up by Akathe Sims, who doesn't have a YouTube channel but is on Twitter, and I'll put both Koalas and Akathe Sims links down below. Here you can see already I've got onto the floor plan of the first floor, the bedroom floor, and I was really finding this hallway a challenge. So with the diagonals on there, those of you that build in The Sims will know that the diagonals are not the easiest thing to work with. Then I decided that I wanted to move the house around a little bit so I'd have some space for that front garden and some landscaping there, put on a driveway as well eventually. And I was looking at the windows. I think in the end I chose these ones from Cats and Dogs. They're cheaper, so they're nice and easy to work with, but also they looked good on the front of this house. And here you can see we're putting in the front porches as well, and these I found quite tricky to get right. It took me a few goes until I was happy with them, as you can see there. And then we put some nice pillars down the side, just went for some fairly plain white ones. I wanted to keep the outside pretty simple really, so that it would end up just being the blue walls and the white trim other than the roofs themselves. So then I went on to working on the roof itself, and again, roofing something is never something I've been particularly brilliant at, so I was really glad to have the pictures to go from. And I used a tip that I've seen other simmers use pretty often with the roofs, which is to do them in sections like this so that you avoid clipping, and so that the roofs come down when you need them to, so you can still see the Sims inside and what they're doing and everything. And after we'd got the front sorted, we just moved around to the back to add a little bit of a bump out roof above the back door over the garage. So that is all of the roofing done. So then I put it back up on a platform so I could get some steps out the front, and obviously we've got the drive up the sides there, but it did end up being on steps anyway, just because otherwise nobody would be able to get in and out that door. So I did end up putting some stairs there eventually as well, which we'll see in a minute. So once I was happy with the placing of the house so that we could get the garden in, I popped in the front path, and I played with a few different options for that. But in the end, I just went with a plain all-round option so that it wouldn't detract too much from the flowers, etc., when they got put in later on. And there's those steps that I was just talking about. The driveway took up quite a decent space of the front garden, and I did try to have it in a different tile to the actual garden path, so it gave us a bit of contrast. And I did want enough space around the sides as well so that I could put some garden all round the house. And there we go with the blue siding going on. So there is that blue suburban look that we all by this point know pretty well. So the trick with the sides of the houses is so they don't look horrendous, and sometimes they really can. If you get the window places wrong, it can just look a bit odd sometimes. So I'm hoping I've managed to avoid that this time by having the windows in some fairly sensible places, that they did look good on the inside and the out. And so you can see here I'm just replacing the big windows upstairs with bigger windows from those placeholder ones that I used earlier, just to get some lighting in while I was doing those walls. So I think I did pretty well with the windows actually. I was pretty happy with it once we got to the end. and the little round ones there as well add a nice bit of contrast to the square that we had on the front and on the sides. So then I moved on to replacing the back door for the dining area, and I did want to have some kind of sliding doors there coming out onto this nice big patio, nice big porch here, where I repeated the herringbone brick that I had used at the front of the house, and also those same steps as well. And I wanted to make it a bit more symmetrical so that it had some out of each door and a little bit on each side. So here we go. So just finalizing the placing of those things here, and then I added on the porch over the main body of the house, added in some more of those pillars as well, and then I decided to put a white picket fence around the back just to enclose everything nice and neatly. And I came back to the garden afterwards, after I'd put in that outside there and the garden gate at the front. So we come back to the landscaping a little bit later, once we've got everything happy there. And then I moved on to the upstairs of the house and getting the doors, arranging the doors from the placeholder ones and changing them for something a little bit more in keeping with the house design. And just popped in some placeholder tile again to designate the kitchen and bathroom areas. So then I moved on to downstairs after putting some lights in everywhere, and we started off in the front downstairs toilet, and I wasn't really sure what vibe I was going for in the house to start off with, so it did kind of just gradually start coming together as I went along, and I ended up with something I think a little bit middling. It's like neither too modern nor too old-fashionedy, so kind of like the people wanted to be modern but didn't quite make it. Or maybe it's a house that they've been gradually doing up as they move into, that kind of thing. So it took me a while to decide what tiles I wanted to use, and because I do actually have pretty much all of the packs, it took me a while to go through them all and decide what I wanted. But I picked this turquoise one in the end, which did also end up being the same wallpaper that I used in the ensuite bathroom for the master suite. And I really did enjoy putting some clutter in here as well. I mean, I didn't use too much of it, but enough to make it feel lived in. And I was pretty pleased with this in the end as well. As I say, not too much, just enough to make it look like somebody lives there and for it to feel playable. So I finished off the downstairs toilet with a little bit of artwork, which again took me a few goes to find the one that I liked, but I settled on this little montage there. And then we moved on to flooring the rest of the living space, and I went with this sort of wooden middling kind of brown as well. And after doing a quick coat closet at the front, I moved on to the utility room where I've put some laundry, and I did end up putting some shelves in here which had laundry items such as detergent, baskets, folded clothes, all of that, and then some collectibles up on the top as well. So I was thinking kind of these are things that maybe grandma's given them that they don't really like but they can't throw away, or some collectibles from when they were kids that again they were just very nostalgic about and wanted to keep. And I think this kind of cupboard probably isn't too much of a British thing. It probably is a bit more American or maybe European, but we don't tend to have these kind of utility cupboards in the UK very often. It's much more common for us to have the washing machine and the dryer in the kitchen, which I know some of you will find a bit odd, but that's just how we do it over here. So you see, this is really starting to come together now, and it does look a little bit like old and disused. And then I went on to the kitchen, and I really wanted to keep this blue theme going round as well, to keep with the outside of the house. And I did go with a country kind of look to start off with, and you'll see here I'm having fun and games trying to make them look how I wanted to. And I then moved on to this more modern design here, which has the blue and then also a bit of the yellow in there as well. And I quite like that. It again went with the vibe that this was a house that the family had sort of done up in what they thought was a modern way, but perhaps not quite got everything to come together. So I was having a bit of trouble trying to work out which of the ovens to use, but in the end I decided on this sleek kind of light grey design with what looks like the electric hob there as well, and the matching fridge. So I also definitely did want to have the upper cupboards. Again, that's something that's really common here in the UK. Not sure how much you guys have of upper cupboards where you're from, but I did want to keep that universal look where everything tied in there as well. So that's why I went for this blue and yellow black splash, which I thought matched really nicely with the cabinets. And then again, fitting with the thing that it perhaps wasn't quite as modern as the family wanted, I was mucking around with quite a few different styles of blinds there as well. And I did want to include a dishwasher, which I've managed to put there. I don't really like those half size ones. I know the idea was that they're more common in Europe, and maybe they are on the continent, but again, I've never really seen, maybe once or twice in my whole life, a half size dishwasher in the UK. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe you guys have got half size ones, but I went with a full size one here. And again, I really wanted to make this place look lived in, so I did try to put quite a bit of clutter on the side as well, while still leaving this kitchen functional. And the layout was something that did take me a little while to decide, but we got there in the end, moving things around in various different places. And I did want to get that coffee machine in the corner where I've got the tea bags, but I just couldn't quite get it to go. And I know that people do all this free placing quite a lot. I couldn't quite get it to work. So I think that's something I need to practice. And in the end, as you'll see, I decided not to use the coffee machine after all, just because I couldn't quite get it where I wanted. With the bar stools, I just left it at the two, and those two that are there really do have that nice matching kind of blue. So I was really pleased with how that looked in the end. And then I moved straight onto the dining room, which, because it's an open plan area, I wanted it to flow really nicely. So I did keep that blue here in the dining room as well. And I decided to go with a plain blue wallpaper in the end, just so that it wasn't too busy with the pattern on the tiles on the kitchen. Now, with the dining room, I was trying to make it again look a little bit smart, but maybe not quite like they'd hit that modern idea. So I went with this rug in the end, which I forget which pack it's from, but I thought it was nice to have a bit of a different kind of a blue. And again, that cream is almost a little bit yellowy, so I thought that tied in with the kitchen nicely as well. Above the sliding doors, I knew I wanted some flowy curtains, but I couldn't quite, as usual, decide on which ones I wanted. So I did give a few different ones a go, but in the end I went to these nice long floaty ones, which I did end up using in the book nook of the living room as well. And again, I think they just fitted really nicely. And then a nice 6-person dining table in the middle of the room that, again, it's just got that little gold detailing around the side of the table, which again tied in with that yellow, as did this gold light, which actually I think I went for the silver one in the end. But you know, again, that's something that just gives it a bit more of a modern touch, and I think it gave a nice detail to the room. Now, around the sides, I wanted to get some artwork in and some plants and just a bit of interest, so I did spend quite a bit of time going through all of that, but I seem to have cut it out for you, so I will show it to you at the end of the video. The living room, where this front bump out is, I wanted to make it into a little library nook, so I did use the book nook kit for all of this section here, all of those shelves and tables, and even I think the lights were from that kit as well. And again, I wanted to make it lived in, so there's ornaments all over the place, and you'll see when I put the coffee table in, there's some magazines on there and things like that. And I just wanted it to be really cozy in this section, the kind of book nook that I would like to sit and read in. And I do like a good read, a good book, usually some cheesy ones if I'm honest, but you know, curling up with a good book is something that I really enjoy, and I thought that my Sims would enjoy it as well. So once I'd sorted that out, I went on to the main section of the living room, and I used that same coffee table from the book nook kit to put the telly on as well. And then I think I used the same love seat, same sofa as well, again, just to tie it in and keep with that little blue, pale blue theme running through the house. The puffs, I got a bit of pink there just to go with the cushions on the sofa. And again, wanted quite a few plants and ornaments in the area to give it that lived in feel. And as I said before, I did go with those same curtains in the book nook that I did in the dining room. Again, I just think they are really quite elegant. They're quite simple, which I like. And this time I kept the gold curtain rail just because I thought it went a little bit better with the decor down at that end. Now, lighting wise, I did definitely want to use one of these floor lamps, and I used a ceiling lamp to match the book nook further over where I ended up putting the computer, just because I wanted again to tie it in from place to place, and I had a little bit of a play around with the placing of where those would go. With the chair, again, I wanted to do a blue one initially to tie it in, but I ended up just doing a plain wooden one to go with the desk instead. And I used a fairly cheap computer just really to have one in the house more than anything else. I hadn't got it in my head that any particular sim living there was going to need a high-spec computer or anything like that. Now with the living room, I did want to contrast the colours a little bit, and because the pink was in the cushions and the poof, I decided to go with a pink wall as well to try and tie that in. And then the artwork that I got, I wanted to have a bit of a photo wall for family, a mixture of actual artwork. So that painting there, I think, is from the Horse Ranch kit. Again, I wanted to have plenty of things for them to do, so I've kept the knitting box there as well, and you know, just to number one, fill up a bit of space, but number two, make sure that the Sims have got plenty to do. And that I left with that. So then I moved on to the garage space, which I decided was going to be something of a activities room, so I end up with quite a lot of different things in here. So as you can see, I've started off with the fitness stuff, so I've got the punch bag there, and I also ended up putting in a treadmill up at one end, and then I also had a wellness stool, I think, and here you can see the flower arranging bench, as well as I did put the woodworking table in there as well. Really wanted a nice variety of things that would cater to a lot of Sims. And then I made the decor go around those items as well, so I did put some shelves with some flower pots and things like that in, but I still wanted to keep the vibe of it being like a converted garage, hence I've kept the concrete and the plain grey walls in this room here. Now because I'd got the flower arranging table there, I did put a lot of pots. I think I put some more flowers, yeah, so there we've got some flowers growing, and then I moved on to the outside and I've put some flowers on the patio as well at a nice even spacing, just one under each of the windows and next to the patio doors. So after that I moved upstairs. That was the downstairs done, and the first thing I did was the communal bathroom, the main family bathroom here, and this one I went with a black and white theme in the end. So we've got the tub, we've got the shower over the tub, and then everything. I felt like this was the room where they really had succeeded in keeping that modern look. Now I did change the tiles here. That was just a placeholder tile at the start of the build, so I knew what was going where, but you'll see here that everything I've used in this room is very modern, and I love this bathtub combo from the Growing Together pack, I think it is. It is my favourite bathtub in the game and I love it. It's just so sleek and elegant to me, and I don't know if you agree with that, but if you don't, then that's fine too. Yeah, so again, I wanted to keep that lived-in feel, so I did end up putting a few knickknacks on the side so you can see the toothbrushes. I think there's a razor that I put somewhere, and then I've got all the towels and some artwork and the shower caddy and whatnot as well, keeping that all looking together. I haven't actually play tested this, but I think it should be fine to get in and out of that tub, and of course if it's not, you can always remove the towel rail there. So after that I moved on to the master suite, and the bathroom that goes with this master suite is absolutely ginormous. I think it's actually bigger than any one of the bedrooms. But you know, this was a follow the floor plan challenge. This was not my layout. This is somebody else's, well, a real life house's layout actually. So we can blame them for the sheer size of the bathroom. But you might be able to see there I did divide it into a few different sections, which again they had kind of done in the floor plan as well. Now with the bedroom I decided to go with a green or sort of dark turquoise and gold white theme. So I kept the furniture that was in here white. The curtains have got a white with gold trim, and then I did put a gold mirror against the wall as well. You've got 2 walk-in wardrobes here. Again, with this floor plan, there was a lot of wardrobe space, so you will see me later on putting a few extra built-in cupboards in the other bedrooms as well, just because that is what was on the floor plan. And I think it did work out quite well, because when you've got those, you don't really need a lot of other furniture. So that gave me the space to put a nice big rug in here too. And there's that mirror going in there as well. So I did go with the wallpaper, keeping in similar tones. So I wanted to find a wallpaper that was just that green, but not too busy either, because there's pattern on the duvet covers, there's pattern on the rug, and this lovely geometric design is the one that I went with, again because it's got that gold. I just felt it tied it in and finished it off really nicely. And we did put some artwork on the walls and photos on the walls a little bit later. So moving back to the bathroom, and I did struggle with this a little bit just because of the vastness of it really. Like, what do you really put in each different section? This was a toilet cubicle, and in the end I put the towel rail in there, but like, why would you really need towels in there when there's no sink in there? So it was really just to fill it up. But again, I kept the white and gold theme, and with the tiles that go in the end, it was the same design tiles for each section of the bathroom, but just a different color. And you'll see again, I've kept it with that kind of teal green, white and gold theme, so that ties in with the actual bedroom as well. And it took me a few goes to get the tiles right, but I did stick the same tiles throughout the whole thing, which is that lovely herringbone one that matches actually the black and white bathroom, just in a different colour. Next, I chose the same bathroom tile that we actually had in the downstairs toilet. So this room here is going to end up being where the bath is, so it's a bit of a private bathroom. I did toy with having a corner bath, like a jacuzzi style thing, but it just took up too much room, so I did decide to go with this spa style bath instead, and a freestanding shower on the side. There wasn't room for a cubicle in here. And then we've got some bathrobes on the side ready for them to get out of the bath or shower, and then again with the artwork and other bits and bobs down there as well. Now this one is where I ended up putting some built-in vanities, built-in sinks. Actually, did I have 2 sinks in the end? I think I just had 1 actually, and then used the side for knickknacks. So I did end up again being pretty pleased with this. Actually, this is probably one of the most complicated builds that I've done. I've done another build which is like a Victorian townhouse that you'll see on my gallery. My gallery ID is just Karen Gold 1, where I actually built that based on the floor plan of a YouTube channel that I watch, where the guy is renovating a house in St. Louis. So I've been watching that for a long time, so I built a house about that. And then I've done another one from a floor plan directly in the past as well. But I think this is the one that I've spent the most time over, that I've put the most detail in, and I really did end up liking how it came out. So I hope you do as well. And we've just got a little laundry basket to go with the washing machine and dryer downstairs. So moving back to the bedroom, this is where we finished off with the artwork, and I didn't want too much. I didn't want to overpower it, and I didn't put any plants in this room either, but I just went with some quite simple artwork in the end. Again, I didn't want it to be too busy, and there is a lot of pattern in this room already, so just a couple of black and white type pictures there. Now then I moved on to what I wanted to be a teenage girls room, and I did start off with it being this front room next to the parents' bedroom, but I did then move it into the middle bedroom because it wasn't quite going how I wanted it to. And I went with this bed, which I think is from the Pastel Pop kit, and then I got some retro furniture there which is from the high school years kit, and I went with the bedside table that matches that dresser as well. And with this one, I really wanted it to be very girly and teenage, so we've got some candles on the side, we've got a table lamp, we've got some flowers, we've got the makeup kit, we've got pillows, we've got, you know, all of that girly stuff going on in this room by the time we finished it. And again, decorating in this style is something that I really haven't done before, so I did enjoy trying it out and making it have this kind of lived-in feel. And again, I do really need to practice. I think it's by going into the Sims 3 camera mode that you can really free place stuff, but I haven't got the hang of that. I never really did play the Sims 3. I went straight from 2 into 4, so I think it's going to take a while for me to get used to that. Now, I definitely wanted the mirror in here. The mirror, I made it blue to match the bed, and we had these lovely crochet kind of curtains finishing off the window dressing. Not terribly practical in real life. I can't see that they'd block out that much light, but I thought it looked nice. And then again, to keep tie in with the bed, I kept the walls a nice plain pink here. And you'll see I ended up putting up a cork board and posters and all of that good stuff to really finish off the room. So I spent quite a bit of time finding all the various odds and ends that I wanted to be included in this particular room. There's the cushions going in there, and I did want it to be cozy and to feel like the teenager perhaps didn't quite clean up when she was ought to, and things like that. And I wanted a nice big fluffy rug to go with it as well. And at first I went for that marble effect one, but that wasn't fluffy enough for me. So I went in with this biscuit kind of shaped one, which again, I think is from the pastel pop pack as well. And then finished off with those wall decorations. So there's a calendar, there's the cork board that I mentioned earlier, although I don't think I put anything actually on the cork board just yet, but she can collect things later on. So then I moved on to the bedroom next to the parents' bedroom, and this is going to be for a toddler. So again, there's lots and lots of toys and things like that that end up going in here. And I decorated this one in a neutral colour, so it could be for a boy or a girl. And we've got the horse ranch, I think that's the horse ranch doll's house there. We've got a Gruffalo type soft toy, and one of the rugs there that I believe came with the Growing Together expansion pack as well. And I just wanted to get all the things that a toddler would need in this one room. So there's the toy box, and I put lots of toys sort of scattered around as well. I don't think I got them one of the Wabbit tablet. I didn't get one of those. I don't think, but there's lots else going on in here, and I wanted there to be a little chair for the parents to read stories to them on, and all that kind of stuff. So a really nice nursery setup, and I'm sure I put some decals on. Now it was a bit tricky getting things in the right places so that it all fit in nicely and was usable. And again, some nice flowing curtains there as well, a bit more practical than the ones in the teenage room. So keeping it neutral again, and nice and light and airy, with the wallpaper going with those dinosaurs and rabbits and elephants and things around the top, and a kiddie's bookshelf on the side there as well. So again, really keeping it all together, keeping it all in one place, and then having some artwork again on the side. So that room came together really quite quickly. And then at the front, I moved on to a bedroom which I decided was going to be for a male child. So we ended up with a bunk bed in this room, and everything was like quite a dark blue and grey. And there did end up being a built-in wardrobe in this room as well, which at this point I had forgotten to do. And I was trying to save space because the kids' things can be quite large in this game. So for that reason, I did put a desk underneath the bunk bed, and you'll see that this actually gets all moved around again in a little bit as well. So we stuck with the blue and grey kind of theme in here, and he had a place to do his homework. He does end up having, I think, a science table in this room as well. Yeah, again, this one really, other than the built-in wardrobe, which I'd forgotten, it did come together quite quickly. I kind of really knew how I wanted it to look from the outset, which doesn't often happen for me actually. Normally things take a while to come together in my experience so far. Now I would have liked to put something like a kid's musical instrument in here, a violin or a guitar, but I really did just run out of space. I wanted to make sure he had enough toys. So there's that built-in wardrobe going in. So you see I used the same closet that I did in the adults room, and then we moved the bunk bed around to fit into that nook, which was a much better use of the space, which also then meant that in the corner we were able to put something else there once we finished the curtains as well. And there's a backpack and all sorts of stuff. So I think I ended up with a toy in the corner and a doctor's play set and things like that to keep him entertained. Yeah, there we go. There's Blarfy. good old traditional Blarfy, and then again with the posters, although I put some more childish kind of posters in this room, because obviously supposed to be much younger than the teenager, so we've got the kind of Harry Potter type things and cartoony type posters that you wouldn't necessarily find in a teenager's room. So then lastly we had the hallway just to finish off a little bit, so we've got the railings on the stairs, and then some more blinds. So I did add in at this point a blind into the bathroom and the matching one in the hallway there, and that is the only window in the hallway, so I didn't want to cover it up too much. And then that was the inside done. So we moved to the outside in the front garden. Again, I was copying the landscaping from the picture when it comes to the front, more or less. The back was more of a free-for-all. I did whatever I felt like doing out the back. And again, pretty pleased with the outcome. So we started off by lining the pathway in the front of the house with some bushes, and then I filled it in with some of these medium-sized plants, which sometimes were sized up and sometimes were just left exactly as they were. And I made these purple. I think all the plants I used out the front in the end were purple or just didn't have any flowers on at all. My use of terrain paint is not the best, so I think I came back to that later, but I'm not 100% sure. But then lining the bigger bush with the smaller perennial flowers around them, I thought just finished that off quite nicely. You didn't really need too much in the way of terrain paint to go with those, because they're quite low to the ground anyway, so you don't really notice. So it's not something that I think is 100% necessary. Now, coming down the side of the house, I used that bush again, and then I got a car out of Debug to go on the front drive. So for those of you that aren't familiar, it's bb.show live edit objects and bb.show hidden objects to get you into the debug menu. And I again used a blue one just so that it went with the exterior of the house a little bit more. So then we fitted in that trash can, the outside bin, which I had previously forgotten about, and onto the back garden. So again, to help build logic skill, I've put in the chess table there. And then I definitely wanted some place for the kids to play, so I put in a swing set in the end. I did start off wanting to make a sandbox out the back, but it didn't quite work. I wasn't happy with how it was going, and the terrain paint, as you can see, wasn't really doing what it should do. So I ended up changing that up a little bit before putting the swing set on. And then I've got some paving or some fake paving stones around the side, so that we've got a path to get to each section that goes down the side of the house as well. And then we do have a little seating area out of the back, as well as making that path go all the way to the street down the front. So I think it did end up looking quite nice. I didn't put a grill or anything like that in this garden, and perhaps I ought to have, but again, if that's something that you guys really want and you've downloaded this house, you can always add it in later on, as with anything else that you might want to include. So I stuck with the purple theme with the flowers at the back, except for these low-lying ones. I think they're the only thing of any other colour that I used in the end. And I did end up putting some planter boxes in this gap between the tree and the paved area as well, so that it gives the Sims, again, something to do with the outside. And I just did want to make it look a little bit overgrown, but like they care for it, but like again, they've not quite met the mark, same as with the decor on the inside. But I thought this looked a bit more natural and a little bit more like, you know, people actually lived here and had been looking after it, but you know, they were a working family. Perhaps they don't quite have time to do as much gardening as they ought to. And I'm just finishing lining the back porch here with some more bushes. So yeah, that was more or less it for this build really. So it's just the garden furniture to go in here, and then once that's done we will jump back into the game to have a tour of the building. So here we are back in the build, and I'm quite pleased with how this has turned out. Actually, it's got a nice little garden out the front with plenty of bushes, a driveway for the car, and this nice little garden path going up the side of the house here, leading into the back garden, which is a little bit overgrown, but not too much, you know, enough that it looks lived in. So we've got some planter boxes, we've got a swing set over the back, and of course our patio table here, as well as the chessboard on the patio as well. So there's things to keep people going. So going into the front of the house, and we have the coat closet here, along with the downstairs toilet on the left in this lovely turquoise and minty green combination. Turning to the right, and we go into the main living space of the house with a computer desk, TV area with this massive TV and a games console as well. Reading nook in the corner using all the library stuff from the library kit that we had, which I forget the name of. And then we've got a more formal dining space here and leading straight into the kitchen, complete with island, all coordinated in this blue gold kind of scheme. So then moving on into the laundry room, which has got some shelves with knickknacks on as well, and then further into the garage, which I've used as a utility kind of area. So we've got the woodworking table, we've got the flower arranging table, we've got a wellness stool here, and then some fitness items as well, then following with a back door out to the garden. So I'm quite pleased with this. And then moving upstairs, coming up from the stairs into the hallway, we've got the main bathroom on the left hand side in a nice black and white scheme. The front bedroom belongs to a child, a male child who is into science, and he's got his own built-in wardrobe there as well. And that was one of the things with this particular floor plan, is that there is quite a lot of built-in wardrobe space. So we've got the wardrobes up here, and then we've also got that built-in cupboard down below. Then we've got a teenage girl's room. This girl loves pink like I do, so she's got all her teenage clutter going on as well, her books, her cushions, her mirror and her makeup and all of that. And then next to that we have the toddler's room, which I left a nice neutral colour so that whoever downloads it can choose whether it's for a boy or a girl. And then finally leading us into the master bedroom in this lovely green and gold and white colour scheme as well. So they've got this nice big mirror, and again 2 more walk-in wardrobes. And that leads into the biggest ensuite bathroom I think I've ever seen. This has got to be bigger than some of the other bedrooms, or even this bedroom. And as you see, we've got a separate room for the toilet, for the bath, and for the sinks as well. So there we have it, folks. That is our blue Suburban build. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you do want to download it, my username on the gallery is KarenGold1, so feel free to go and download it. Thank you very much for watching. I'd like to see you again next time, so if you do want to come back, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment down below. Let me know what kind of house you'd like me to build next, and I will see you again next time.